All right, good afternoon, class. We're on lesson 108, schedules, which happens to be your vocab for today. Just write down this in your vocab spot, schedules. Your objective for today is to read schedules and solve the elapsed time problems. What schedules are is they're a list of times and events that show when an event are planned to happen. Okay, and so that's what we're going to be doing today, is reading schedules. But first, the joke of the day. Knock, knock. Who's there? Little old lady. Little old lady who? I didn't know you could yodel. All right, example number 1. The schedule of events for the state track meet is shown in the program. Daphne qualified to run both the 300-meter low hurdle and the 200-meter dash. Her second race starts how many minutes after the start of her first race? So what you're going to do here is find the 300-meter low hurdle, which is at 3:10 p.m. Okay, and then you're going to look at the 200-meter dash, which starts at 3:40. So we want to figure out how many minutes does it take from 3:10 to 3:40. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to count up, okay, from 3:10 to 3:40 and figure out how many minutes that is. I'm going to count by tens because they're both in 10-minute increments. So if I count 20, 30, 40, that gives me 30 minutes in between from 3:10 to 3:40. Typically, you would be able to subtract 3:40 minus 3:10. However, I don't suggest doing that because time is in increments of 60 seconds or 60 of 60s, and it doesn't really subtract well in that way. So the best way to do this is just to count up or count down from whatever you need. Okay, example number 2. David planned a round-trip flight from Oklahoma City to Indianapolis and back to Oklahoma City. Here's David's flight itinerary. So he's going to, on August 22nd, leave Oklahoma City and fly to Chicago, and he'll arrive there at 8:09. And then his flight from Chicago leaves to Indianapolis at 9:43, where he arrives at 10:38 in Indianapolis. And on August 29th, he leaves Indianapolis and arrives at St. Louis. And from St. Louis, he goes back home to Oklahoma City. So the question is, David needs to change planes on his way to Indianapolis and on his way back to Oklahoma City. In which city does he change planes? So we know here that he changes planes in Chicago, and then he also changes planes in St. Louis on his way back home. And next it says, how much time does David have in the schedule to make those plane changes? So what you're going to do is when you arrive in your arrival city, which is Chicago on the first leg of the trip, you want to see what time his second plane leaves. So if he arrives at 8:09, then we're going to count up to 9:43. Now, 1 hour when we count up is 9:09, and then we're going to count up from 9 to 43, and we find that that's 34 minutes. Okay, and so altogether, you have on your Chicago leg 1 hour and 34 minutes to change planes. Now, that's only one portion of your question. The second portion is your leg from St. Louis, Indianapolis to Oklahoma City on the way back. Now, he arrives in St. Louis at 11:03 a.m. and then he leaves at 12:04 p.m. From St. Louis. Now, I know if I count 1 hour up, that's 12:03. And I have 1 minute more to get to 12:04. So he has 1 hour and 1 minute left on the schedule to travel, to stay in the airport and travel back home to Oklahoma City. All right. Next slide. All right, here is your homework for today, A through E. Make sure you get all these things done. If you have any questions, write those questions on the back. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.